Well, good morning, viewers. Thanks for joining us on the midweek edition of the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. It's a good time and it's a good day today. It's beautiful and we're glad to have you join us today. Well, you know what we'll do for you on this program, the Morning Spring? Well, we keep you abreast of happenings in the nation, in the polity, in the socio-economic space, and in the political sphere of the country and all the things happening around in the world. And today, we give you a newspaper review, bring you the interview segment, and Emmanuel gives you what's trending in the nation. Well, today we're going to give you the newspapers, but that will be after a short break. But this is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, where we give you, what's happening around the world. And you can join us. You can follow us on all our social media platforms on Western Spring Television. And you can check us on channel 190 on the DTT platform of Star Times. Thanks for joining us again this morning. We'll be bringing you the newspaper review after this short break. Just stay with us.
Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works Obakoso, Obawaja and Moremi took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee's Diary, Constitution, and The People, among 6 other books. Bolaige was a colorful politician, elected governor Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of Afenifere, the Yoruba social, cultural, and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bolaige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bolaige as a watershed character in history.
Ẹ kú àmójúbà oṣù tuntun oṣù karùn-ún àdúpẹ́ fẹ́lẹ́dùà torí pé ọ̀pọ̀ òjò ló rọ̀ lóṣù tó kọjá tí ilẹ̀ ti fi mu ó wá yẹ kó o lè dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ẹlẹ́dàá rẹ pé kò jẹ́ kí oṣù tó kọjá ó mú ọ lọ o pẹ̀lú ọkàn ọpẹ́ yìí wàá máa fi gbàgbọ́ ṣàmì sí àwọn ìwúre wọ̀nyí o oṣù karùn-ún ló wọ̀ yìí àrùn burúkú kò ní wọlé tọ̀ wá àjáde ìwọlé ò wá ní kàn ọ́ ìkànnì móhùnmáwòrán Western Spring Television ló ń wúre fún ọ wípé iṣẹ́ rẹ yóò lérè lóṣù yìí àní ọmọ aráyé ò ní fi iṣẹ́ rẹ bú ọ ni mò ń wí o nítorí pé aláǹkàn gbìyànjú ṣe po lóòótọ́ àmọ́ kò rí aláṣẹ tí yóò fi ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àkókò ń gbẹ́ kísà lódó kò rẹ́ni tí ó bá fi gúnyán ni ò ní ṣàṣedànù lóṣù yìí nínú oṣù karùn-ún yìí ẹ̀tọ́ rẹ kò ní nù ọ́ o nítorí pé bí a bá torí àtùpàrẹ́po àáfún mú ni elédùà yóò fi retí ẹ fún ọ lóṣù yìí wàá gbọ́ o ibi tó o wà yẹn gan ní oore rẹ yóò ti wá ọ láwárí nítorí pé ibi tí ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ bá wà ní èṣíkanrin ti ń bò ó ọlọ́run ọba Allah tí jẹ́ almuhamin yóò máa ṣàtọ́nà rẹ lóṣù yìí ìparun kò ní jẹ́ tiẹ̀ ti létoko lóṣù karùn-ún yìí ọba arahman yóò ṣàánú rẹ lóṣù yìí o ire gbogbo tó o gbọ́ yìí kò ní ṣàìmọ́ ọ lára nítorí pé mọ́tínì wà àgbò mọ́rí àṣẹ ni tolódùmarè.
All right, welcome back to the show. Some interesting magic. You didn't see me earlier, now you see me. You know that advert. Now you see me, now you don't. Well, welcome to the show, Morning Spring. My name is Emmanuel Ojadikele. Thank you for starting your day with Timmy Tokwe and I, and thank you for being there for us and with us. Let's go straight to the papers this morning. We'll start with the Punch newspaper as usual for you. And the banner headline, finally, after all of the back and forth, it seems like we're ready to make headway. It says Tinubu's victory legal battle begins Monday as tribunal hears petition. That's on page 2 of the newspaper. The Punch. APC expresses readiness, says it is aware of hearing date. PDP article will emerge victorious. Legal team tells Nigerians. That's on page 2. Well, it's time for the fireworks to go off.
Yes. The time many people have been waiting for to start hearing the petition. The only thing is we have been thinking that maybe there will be a change for the first time, probably to be televised. But there's nothing like that on the face of the paper. So it means that the orthodox way of hearing will still be employed here. But we'll be hearing the news from the lawyers and all the litigants, at the court when every hearing is over.
Yes, we'll be hearing from them, from the lawyers, from the courts, to know the intricacies of what went down within the premises of the court. I would have loved if we had gotten to the point of televising our proceedings, particularly the tribunal.
Yeah.
It will serve as antecedent, serve as reference for the coming generation, but unfortunately it's not happening. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Well, a concerning story below that is the picture of evacuated Nigerians stranded at Egypt border. Gbajabiamila orders probe. Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila ordering a probe there into the stranded Nigerians at Egypt border. I mean, we heard Abike Dabire was saying that President Muhammadu Buhari had intervened and that issue had been solved and people can now move about their lives, just enter through Egypt and come back. But it's a different story again this morning.
Well, that's to show that Nigeria really is not on top of the situation. Like they said they are. I mean, it's been over a week that they've been trying to evacuate some Nigerians from Sudan and several other countries, even countries that are deemed, to be not to be as powerful as Nigeria on the foreign scene, have been able to successfully, evacuate their nationals. But Nigeria is having it differently, and we don't know what seems to be the problem. But it's good that they're being probed there at the Abike Dabire and Jeffrey Yema. The older NEMA officials too have been summoned, for them to explain what exactly is the problem and why these people have not yet entered the country.
Well, it will be well, and our concerns now are that our brothers and sisters find their way back to the shores of this country and to their families and loved ones, where they can, reunite with them and go about their lives. 792 Nigerians abducted in first quarter, according to the report, page 3 there. Ogun Rep-elect activist clash in traffic over broken car mirror. Sometimes you read stories like this, and what appears funny to you is the caliber of the people involved. I mean, a lawmaker-elect and an activist clashing in traffic. These are two people who should be the ones settling clashes in traffic. But there's the impatience, there's the anger, recurring anger that everybody carries. So I think we should just try as much as possible to tame ourselves in order to not erupt in public. But on page 2 there, I've delivered on change agenda, says Buhari. A lot of comments on that already on social media. People asking what change particularly did the president
I am
bring
hoping
about.
to see more of that in the trends, but
No, I'm not going to put myself in trouble because
yesterday we had something similar. I mean, something as funny as this too on the face of the paper, and we decided to just brush it off to and talk about it as minimal as we could. But
are you talking about respecting the rights of?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
But it's a good charge.
It's a good charge, but
it speaks volumes.
Yeah, exactly. There are lots of messages to decode from there if you're smart enough to do that. And just like this, says he has delivered on change agenda, says Buhari. Well, I think we should read the story to know exactly what the changes are.
I like how you're carefully picking your words. It's very important that you do so.
It's very important, really.
Above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, external debt, federal government deducts 78 billion naira from state allocations. On page 17, federal government deducts 78 billion naira from state allocations. Controversial Adamawa Rec detained insists Binani won toll. As on page 8, some good news and yet disturbing news.
Yes, the fact that he's still standing on the on what he has done, on the statement he made, and on his declaration declaring Binani as winner of the poll. It's really controversial, and it just shows probably he really doesn't even know what's the gravity
of his actions.
Yes.
I mean, the man is literally dragging his own commission through the mud. If you work for a commission that has declared official results, that has looked at all the figures from local government, from the initial election first ballot down to the rerun, and arrived at a particular winner, and you're saying that another person won for some reason that you don't even know. When you announced your supposed results, you didn't announce it with any with any document to back it. So how and where did he get all of that?
Okay, he had digitalized documents probably on him.
Maybe he had memorized the figures.
Yes, exactly. And what we'll just say is you would now see why some people seem to believe that he had some sort of backing, or he has some sort of backing, because for him to still be insisting on the fact that Binani won the polls, or that it's not even about the fact that a person won or didn't win. You weren't in the in position to announce that that result, and he did, and the fact that he's still insisting is something to worry about.
It is worrisome.
That he just will be detained. He will be taken through the normal course of the law as it should be, and we can all move on in peace.
Well, hope we can move on. And now let's get over to the next story. Deadly noodles. NAFDAC takes probe to factories, markets, as on page 27 of the Punch newspaper.
Yeah.
And that's all on that paper.
All right, moving on quickly to the Guardian newspaper. It says Senate presidency, negotiations, intense lobbying among contenders as NWC mates, and that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And we can see some of the key people there. You can see Akpabio, you can see Oshomole, Kalu, Umahi, Lawan, Ndumo. We can see Barau and Musa, and the last person there on the face of the papers. Let's see how the power tussle goes and who becomes the Senate president. But then below that story, CBN places 7,552 account holders on BVN watch list, and that is on page 15. And just beside that, Tinubu's $10.8 million London mansion, buying property under investigation, risky. That's according to lawyers, and that is on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. On page 6, FAN to demolish more illegal houses around airports nationwide. FAN to demolish more illegal houses around airports nationwide.
That's what's been going on in Lagos State now, and it's receiving mixed reactions. I know that there's the tendency for us to, that's still on Guardian, still a tendency for people to be emotional about certain things, but the facts are the fact. If there are documents to prove that these people built their houses on government property, there's no need to be emotional about it. The law has to be followed to the letter. And my only worry now is if there will be any sort of compensation, because those plots of land would not have been sold by just ordinary people, and maybe estates developers, and those ones too must have bought it from someone who sold it. It goes back and back and back until you finally get to who approved the buildings there in the first place, and all of those permutations.
You see, that's what we say, that there are things that should come in some particular procession. You are supposed to find, places for these people, some sort of compensation ahead of the demolition. You're just going to put them, in some despair. I mean, you should have given them succor before you even demolish these places at all. The fact that they wouldn't know what to do if you're going to compensate them, or if there be any intervention from government, are some of the reasons why you would see them in great despair, or shouting, crying, and even breaking down. Some even die. I remember when the one in Abuja was taking place at the time, several people died because of shock, and panic. And so what is supposed to come first is finding compensation for these people, giving them adequate compensation. Probably you get them subsidized, housing that they have to pay overtime, or you give them monetary compensations, or you just give them other houses somewhere else. And so you can't just put them back in the streets and expect that, you won't have problem on your hands. And so I don't think that it should be, the demolition should be the first line of action. It should have been settled before this demolition will happen. It's possible they were given ultimatums, but if you don't have money, what would an ultimatum do for you? Yes. You can't vacate your house, and where would you go? So it's important that we do things, the proper way. I mean, the government is responsible for, her people.
Yes.
But on page 7 years on, Enugu government transfers diagnostic center to NSIA, and that's on page 7. And on the Sudan crisis, on page 3, lawmakers summon Onyema Adabiri NEMA officials. Lawmakers have summoned Geoffrey Onyema, Abike Dabiri, and some other NEMA officials on the Sudan crisis, probably to explain why there have been a lull in the evacuation process. And then to the bottom strip of the paper, on page 6, Fintiri hails arrest of fleeing Adamawa Reg 2 weeks after. Well, and on page 7, crisis rocks Abia Assembly as members impeach Speaker. Well, we're seeing the National Assembly here at the Senate level, where people are lobbying for, the presidency. the speakership. And here in Abia, some other members of the assembly have impeached their own speaker. Several things happening
at the same time, everywhere, all at once.
The state assemblies and at the National Assembly. It's really a very fun time and very controversial times as well. But that's all we have on the Guardian newspaper this morning. Fun
and controversial, but we hope that all of these controversies do not tear apart the fabric of the country. Yeah. On Daily Trust newspaper, Senate presidency, Akpabio Yaris scramble for PDP senators. Opposition reps elect meet, strategize to produce speaker. As on page 4, APC NWC meets today. I found it funny that this matter has been talked about so much. The opposition forming a coalition to come together to produce a speaker. I mean, it's going to be a marriage of strange fellows in beds together, and it may not hold for a long time. Each party making up the opposition has a different ideology. They have different approaches to things, and in the long run, they may differ. So what happens when the opposition crumbles? Do you impeach the speaker? Do you say, okay, since my party produced the speaker, we are the authentic? I mean, many permutations to look into.
True.
Well, then the National Working Committee of the APC is scheduled to meet today. Remember that they've been saying that they've not zoned any positions yet. But let's wait to hear from them after their meeting. At the bottom strip, 2 months after elections, customs officers yet to get allowances. 2 months after elections, customs officers yet to get allowances. This reminds me of the aftermath of the Osun State governorship election here in Osun State, where some police officers took to the streets and even to social media to protest their anger and displeasure at the fact that despite having conducted the elections, having done their best, having served, giving their sweat and time and resources for God and for country, as they put it, they had not gotten any sort of compensation, any sort of remuneration. And you wonder what exactly is going on with them. And now it's the turn of the customs officers. They're here to get their own allowances. We hope that the government looks into the plight of these people and answers them, gives them what they want. A suspended Adama arrested. That's on page 10 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Government not responsible for job creation, presidency on page 3. Some interesting statements coming out of the Buhari administration at the end of his tenure. Some very, very interesting statement. And you begin to wonder. For me these days, what I do is I just wonder. I just let my mind travel. And why are we here? How did we get here? Some of the things that have been said, some of the things that have been passed across. Well, to me, they do not just sit right.
If the government is not responsible for job creation, then who is? Those are the questions that we have, and probably these are the questions that have been answered on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper.
You can get your answers there. You can get to know what's happening on the Daily Trust newspaper. 27 days to hand over. Tambuwal appoints 23 permanent secretaries, 15 DGs on page 6. And sometimes you want to understand why governors elect, when they get to the office, the first thing they do is issue, in the case of Osun, issue an executive order to suspend all appointments. Because why are you appointing 23 permanent secretaries just 27 days before leaving office?
Now my point will be, when this outgoing governor has appointed you, are you going to actually pick up that appointment? Yes, because we seem to always have sympathy for people who do not even sympathize with themselves. Or
but the justification is that up until midnight of 29th or 28th, the still governor still can do
really
all the things he needs to do.
When somebody is employing you within 27 days before he leaves office.
Within his right as a governor.
What's your remuneration? Who has decided it? Okay. It's just like it was said on the face of one of the papers too, when it says that the 40% pay rise may be paid for May, but from June you don't know if it will be paid anymore. So should we continue that kind of process? But I think that you might be in power till you hand over to the next person. But there are some things that good conscience and common sense would tell you not to do. And appointments are not things you should do in a rush. I mean, why didn't you do it before now?
It could have been just it could have been in the pipeline.
That's what you would say.
The pipeline, and I'm not holding.
Why are you doing it a month before leaving office?
But a month before leaving office, he's still governor.
Okay.
That's the justification.
All right. When
for
the
it.
new governor comes in, please just take whatever comes and take it in good faith. Just the way you're picking up this appointment.
I mean, we know that sometimes it could be to set booby traps for the incoming administration. Try to shoot up the wage bill, make it difficult for him to pay salaries. But the truth is, constitutionally,
another thing is,
right.
the truth is, this is a trend that is coming these days, especially during the Buhari administration. In the past, you could hardly see several governors or even the presidency, giving out appointments or making, just rolling some things into action just before leaving office. But it's becoming rampant now. You just see that, and the thing is, there are no plans on ground.
We keep innovating. We have to grow as a people.
That's true. Then we need to grow up with our emotions too, to take up all the consequence of
the actions that we're benefiting from.
Yes, exactly.
Well, below the nameplate there, Sudan crisis. First batch of stranded Nigerians may return today. Reps still probability. Reps hold $700 million cabotage fund disbursement, summons Nimasa DG. And a special report there, how Seyi Tinubu bought London mansion for $10.8 million. Some reports say, according to the Bloomberg report, it's about $11 million, but this one is saying 10.8, maybe approximately $11 million. But that's all on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, quickly to the Nation newspaper. The headline says, Adamawa police quiz the 10 REC INEC commissioners. And it says, Yunusa Ari gives serve up at force headquarters, says, I have no regret. And that's what he said. I was quite surprised yesterday with that statement. He has no regrets. Well, we shall see if he should have had regrets or if he has done the right thing eventually. But below that, first batch of Nigerians expected from Sudan today. And the riders, 1,350 arrive in Port Sudan, 5,500 taken out of Khartoum. And House leadership meets ministries, agencies, and that's on the Sudan story and the evacuation. And just before the nameplate, Wike declares holiday for Tinubu's visit. Wike declares holiday for Tinubu's visit.
I saw that, and
you were quite pleased.
Very funny, very funny. Very funny. Public holiday?
Yeah, for a president-elect. So when it becomes president, people would have a week, a week.
I would love to be in River State at the time.
Yes.
So, but Wike is leaving office, so maybe Fubara, Sim Fubara will continue the legacy of his predecessor, yes.
Well, on page 6, Reps seek clemency for Ekweremadu. Reps seek clemency. On what grounds would they be, seeking that for him outside the shores of the country? I know that they would surely do the same if he were to be in that situation right here in the country, and which would have even been, quite strange here in the country. But we hope that the goodwill of the people would remain with him and his family in this period. And below that story, Senate probes passports renewal, issuance delay. Senate probes passports renewal and issuance delay. And truly, passports have become more like gold these days, because you go through lots of stress, for the renewal and even for the initial acquiring of the passport. But it's good that we have them, the reps, the Senate probing that. It's very important. Now, just above the nameplate, 57.4 million BVNs linked to bank accounts. 57.4 million BVNs linked to bank accounts, and 7,500 on the watch list. That's on page 11 of the Nation newspaper. Obi admits making phone call to Oyedepo, and it says, my UK airport experience. That's going to explain all of that, and that is on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. NSI launches firm to deliver healthcare expansion plan. NSI launches firm to deliver healthcare expansion plan. That's on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. And to the bottom strip of the Nation newspaper, JAMB releases UTME results, and that's on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. And truly, the face of the paper said yesterday that the results will be released from yesterday, and truly some results were released yesterday. And driver who slammed bus into train in Lagos remanded. That is on page 7 of the Nation newspaper.
As it should be. As it should be. He should be made to answer for his recklessness that caused the damage and lives of people. Well, those are the papers for you that we have for you this morning. When we return, we will be bringing in our guest to discuss some political happenings in Osun State. Stay with us.
Healers Olayinka Herbert Macaulay politician, nationalist, and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor, and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in the deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history. The history of guns is traced to China. The Chinese had developed a technology civilization that produced devices identified as guns at about 1000 AD. By the end of the 13th century,
Welcome back to the show. It's still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, and we're reaching you live from StarTimes channel 190 on the DTT platform. But you can follow the conversation on all our social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course you can follow us on social media on YouTube at Western Spring Television. Thank you for your time this morning. It's time to speak to our guest on the show. We have with us a former special advisor to the immediate past governor of Osun State, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, who is a stalwart of the APC, a journalist and a man of many parts. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Mr. Jamiu Olawumi.
Good morning.
It's good to have you on the show. All right, so let's start with what's happening within your party. I'll just ask you, in the aftermath of the National Assembly elections, the State House of Assembly elections, where would you say your party stands currently in terms of strength in the state?
Thank you very much. The elections you mentioned would not be a credible barometer to judge the position of my party. Let me give you this. If you are conversant with international history, and you remember what happened in Egypt, between the main party, Islamic Brotherhood, of the late Mohammed Morsi, and the opposition, it was 51 to 49%. It means the two parties were shoulder to shoulder. That's what the party is in Osun. We are credible, we have a huge presence, and we are in charge. We might not be in government, but I can tell we are in charge. Where you have people being terrorized, victimized, maimed, killed, murdered before election, and you have 10,000 vote difference. The part that is not in government that could garner 345,000 votes, where the other party 350 something votes, you know that we are in charge, not minding the level of despondency the political atmosphere is recording, and not minding the iron fist and bloodletting administration that is managing the affairs in the state now.
Okay, so let's come to Monday's exercise at the Tinubu Shetima Campaign House in Ogoluwa, Osogbo, the Osun State capital. Governor Adegboyega Oyetola inaugurated an 11-man panel.
The leader of the party.
The leader of the party, former Governor Adegboyega Oyetola. That's another thing that will come to who really is the leader of the party. Yes. So now, what brought about the need to reposition the party? Some say it's just to mend fences and to heal cracks within the party.
Yes, you said part of it, that some wants to mend, heal, and bring people together in the party. But as a matter of fact, if you have a political party that has been in charge for 12 years, and all of a sudden there's nose diving of some aspect of the management of the party, you, as a serious planner and the program executor, you need to reappraise whatever might have gone very well and the hoary part of it. And that was the need for the leader of the party, the former governor, to bring people together after wide consultations, talking to the youth members of the party, the women, the leadership of the party, then the elders and other stakeholders of the party. We found out that there's a need to sit down and do analysis of certain things. What have we done wrong? What have we done very well? In governance, we have done very, very creditably well, so that will not worry us, because we have actually given to the people what they demanded from us in 2018. Because remember, there was a town hall meeting in 9 federal constituencies where opinions and the needs of the people were collated. Exactly, those things became our milestone and benchmarking our activities in government. We wanted to give schools their identities with it. They said they didn't want single uniform. We danced to the tune. The name change, we did. What was not helping the system, we removed. And by the time we entered into the second year, not minding the COVID pandemic and the NSAS crisis, the governance came into autopilot, because those things that we have gathered from the people were already being executed. And if you look at the other aspects of governance, when you have people assuming too much that they are in government, the victory is automatic, and relative to every ruling political party, you have much more people in the ruling party, and you have diverse interests. You also have diverse influences. Where influences are being bastardized, mismanaged, you need to look at them. Where privileges were turned to rights, you need to also to look at those things, so that the reward system will be credible. People will have faith, they will have more commitment and more loyalty to the party. So those are the reasons. And if you look at what has happened in the past 12 years, when APC, the then ACN APC that we have now, we have taken so many steps. Most in the first 8 years, not working for the state. And in the past 4 years, the last 4 years, trying to revamp, try to readdress, also trying to rework the party. So you understand there's a very huge job for the government in the last 4 years that of the 12 years. So it could be rancorous. People could be agitative, and all these things require sitting down with people who can tell the history of the story of the party, people who have experience, corporate experience in management activities, to sit down and now look at those problems, look at the gains and look at the losses, so that we can come out much stronger.
All right. With all the mending of fences now, does it mean that the APC has no factions within, has no divide within the party?
There's no party in Nigeria that has no faction. Even the party that is not in government, Labour Party, has factions. You understand? Where we have human movements, there are bound to be factions. But if factions are becoming movements, then you have problem. ordinarily there shouldn't be a movement in the party. The party itself should be a movement. But you have factions. Faction is okay. I admire your style. I want you to be. Let us follow you. That's a faction. But it should not affect the movement essence of the political party. So where you have the faction becoming movement within the party, then there's a problem. So all those things are what we are set out to correct.
Okay, but will this heal, like she's saying, will it heal the divisions? It's quite some gulf in your party. I know you may want to say that's not the case, but looking at the immediate aftermath of that inauguration, there were some reactions from the now defunct the Osun Progressive Stop that was dissolved last year. Some of them not comfortable with the constitution of the committee. Were they not consulted before?
They only wanted their interest assured. You understand? Not they are not comfortable. If they still believe they are members of the party, this is the time for all of us to bring our ideas. Tell us your ill feelings. And we come together to understand ourselves and move on. So all those noise, I can see it as a noise. Noise from somebody who is the head of a whole, now becoming the head of a fraction. It's a mere noise. It's a common, it's a peculiar noise.
Well, one of the persons raising that concern is a former chairman of the party, Elder Lowo Adebi,
who is now a leader of a faction.
Yes,
a fraction.
And he's saying that that faction loyal to Rauf Aragbeshola would not appear before the committee.
It's Rauf Aragbeshola in the APC.
But that's the question I'm going to ask you. So,
that's a claim. By actions,
Mr. Lamumi, let me ask you: is the former governor
that does not confer on anybody?
Is he a member of your party at the moment?
I don't know. That we'll find out from the unit chairman of his the chairman of his political unit in Elisha East. They will let us know. But with all intent and purposes, you are talking of a personality who was governor for 8 years, who decided to abandon the party in an electioneering process, who would not campaign for the presidential election in the state where he is registered to vote. Instead, he went to campaign where he has no registration records to vote, to cast his vote. Who did not even come to vote for the candidate of the party. I think he's on sabbatical. I don't think he's an active member of APC.
So what makes former governor Adeboye Gayotola the leader of the APC?
Because he's the only former governor plus the national leader of the party, Chief Mr. Akande, that members of the party could find in the state. So who's in the space here? He's the only man in the space. Is the only man occupying the space. And in little now elementary definition of what a matter is what can occupy a space. So Oyetola is the matter here when it comes to APC. His immediate past governor. His electioneering process has not been concluded because he's awaiting the judgment of the Supreme Court. So nobody else. Nobody else is the leader of the party in the state.
Now, a member of the committee, Akintade Adegboye,
the former deputy speaker of
the House of Assembly, was Najim Salam's deputy. Yes. Now, Najim Salam was a staunch member of the defunct TOP. In fact, he announced the dissolution of TOP. Were all of these people carried along in coming out with the committee?
When you are appointing a committee to reconcile people, there are factors you consider. The personality of those who are going to constitute the membership of the committee, their credibility, their loyalty in the past, in the present, and the commitment to the future of the party. Let me give you an example of somebody like Adegboye. Adegboye has never defected from the party, whether in terms of groups or faction. And he is the former deputy speaker who held forth when the other speaker went for the other faction. If you look at somebody like Honorable Akinlabi Olasunkanmi Omotuntun from Ikire, he has never, since 1999, defected from the party. He was local government chairman of Rewoli local government. He's also a member of the House, was a member of the House of Assembly. Aside that, even when we had tendencies in the Osun State, the Oromia group in Osun State, the meeting of Oromia group in Ayedade, ever since it was established, was being held in his house. So when you are looking of somebody who can act like a door, who sees both in and the outside, he sees the Oromia, which you can say the top, whatever, quite vividly, and is also a strong member of the party. You are looking of their pedigree. You don't need to consult. People should look at who are constituting the membership of the committee for you to say, this person has ever been a fan of factionalization of the party. You are looking of somebody who was former CMD of a college of medical sciences. You are looking at the person of a former vice chancellor of a university who was also a member of the Federal Executive Council, Professor Isaac Adewale. You cannot say this man at a time can be accused of tendencies that could divide the party. And by the way, what we enjoyed in Osun State, much better than what anybody could have brought or could bring from the federal to the state. You can ascribe it to Isaac Adewale. The 332 medical health centers that Oyezola did, he was the architect. No federal minister has ever done something in that area, in that magnitude. So you have a credible representative of the party who was not even biased to even the tribe or clan he belongs. Like somebody bringing whatever is bringing to Osun State to Ilesha or Ijesha land. He has a state-wide spread. It's a patriotic state representative at the FEC. You have somebody like that as the chairman. You have Oguntola Mudasu Togun from Iwo, who was commissioner under Aregbesola and has also worked with Oyetola. All these people, you have Rasak Adeosun, who has been a party man since 1996 as the secretary of the committee. These are the indices a reasonable man who wants to build a party, who wants APC to move forward, who is not going to feather the cap of factionalism to look at and submit memoranda to that committee. Whatever the top or the former top are aggrieved of, this is the opportunity for them to bring them to the table.
But do you think it would have also been important to include them in the committee? If you're trying to heal all of them, maybe just take one of them and put them in that committee so that they feel like, oh, they've dissolved their part and they're still a part of the party.
Ever since the time they announced their dissolution, their self-dissolution, they have never stepped the secretariat of the party.
Wow, was an olive branch,
They have nobody would ask them not to go there. They have never attended the world meeting of the party in their area. So,
But
I do not vouch for sincerity of the dissolution. But they have opportunity now to bring, if they bring whatever they are aggrieved of to the table and it's not attended to, we can now be talking of another stage. But for now, members of the party who have been attending world meetings, who have been involved in political party activities are those. Let me tell you, it is not only about the issues or the agitation of members of top that we are looking at. The committee is also to look into reward system for members. The committee is also looking at credible pathway to make the party strong and stronger than what it is now. It's also looking at interest management. Close to 70% of members of our party are youth. We're also looking at the interest. It is the women that you find on the queue to cast their ballots, much more than men. There's also the need to take along their interest. The committee is not to address singular issue of somebody has gone to top or he has gone to down. We are looking at the party in an holistic manner. So don't let us limit the committee's assignment to agitation of a fraction.
Yeah, we'll not limit it to that, but just two or three more questions from myself and Tope. Now, Adelowo is claiming that this is a committee to probe and, witch hunt or, try to...
The committee, let me tell you, also probe. To probe because there are a lot of allegations.
Yes, so let me just ask you that.
Excuse me.
The Speaker of the House, former Speaker.
Excuse me. There are a lot of allegations. Some places we want to feed candidates for local government chairmanship election. In some places, they did not choose the most popular candidate. You have cronies of some leaders becoming candidates, leading to agitation and people not voting for the party. You understand? We are going to look at all this because some people actually did anti-party because they were aggrieved. If I'm supposed to be the candidate and the leader, one of the leaders of the party, presented his son who has not been living here and is given the tickets, I'll be aggrieved. There are tendencies for my supporters, even if I don't do, not to vote for the party. Because perhaps some of them are in the party because of me. So as long as their interests will not be guaranteed, they might become despondent, they might become lackluster, and they might not be eager to vote for the party. So some will vote, but a lot of them might not come out to vote. So if our party loses, there's also the need to question why we lost. Do you understand? So they are going to be probe, but not the probe in the sense of DBG's opinion.
Yeah, so what I was going to ask you was that the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Timothy Owoye, was on record that day as saying that some persons will be disciplined if they are found guilty of anti-party activities. Apart from what the scenario you've just painted, what other things could constitute anti-party activities?
So lot of reasons that can lead to anti-party. Even some people are guilty of association. If you are a stand member of the opposition to my party, and people start to see us in and out of a place, becoming more close, much closer, camaraderie and all those things, the body language speaks for anti-party. Because some people would doubt my sincerity, that can we keep this man in confidence? Or has he not been leaking our strategies to his friend? So in politics, you can be guilty of association, wrong association. So if you are alleged, you clear yourself. If it is proven, you'll be disciplined. You can be suspended from the party. You can't regulate people coming to the party, but you can show people out, the way out of the party. There are allegations that some people are given money. The allegation that some people are given bags of rice.
To work against your party?
To work against their own party.
By members of
the party. There are some allegations that, the candidate is from my family. The candidate is from my town. And it is the turn of our town now. So I cannot work but for the opposition party. Political ideology is like the name you are given at birth. You can't change it. if you actually, if you have imbibed the spirit of political party, it's like your religion. Do you understand? So if you are defecting, if you are changing your name, you must make an announcement that I've changed my name. But you cannot be behind the same name and be doing something contrary to the name. So there will be sanctions. It's normal. It's normal. I have a relation who contested the last election, but on no account, even I was not going to family meeting because of him, because he does not belong to my party. And I voted against him. And he knew that I voted against him because we were voting in the same unit. And I showed him.
But isn't that a contravention of the
It is never. I have never been charged to any court.
Okay. So now let's look at the whole reconciliation move. You spoke about somebody abandoning the party and being on sabbatical. Were there any moves to speak to him, that's former Governor Aregbesola now, and ask what's going on? Could there be genuine grievances?
I don't have mandate to speak about him. Yeah.
But okay, so let's look at the people around him now who are also still within the party, but like you said, have not stepped foot in the secretariat of the party. At the time, there were parallel executives in your party. Do you
There
still
was
have that?
never. There was never a parallel executive. The current national chairman of the party, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, was in the Senate. He was the chairman of the Reconciliation Committee for Osun State, alongside with a former deputy governor of Lagos State, Adibule, if I remember very well, now a senator-elect. They were here to look at the two factions, and they told them this cannot be, in their report, that the party in the state had no faction. So that's the position of the party. People who are not with the immediate past chairman of the party, Boyega Famodu, the Kabiyesi now, are never members of our party. That was the report of the National Committee.
So you're saying that the defunct top now are not members of the APC?
They were never members of APC.
But they still parade themselves as APC members.
It's a claim. You can claim to be a member of the party. It's a claim. And nobody will stop you from the right of your opinion. It's a free word.
All right, so take us through the other terms of reference of the committee. So much attention seems to be on the fact that some persons loyal to a particular person were excluded. They were not even at the meeting. They are even claiming that they were not aware of any such meetings. What other terms of reference does the committee have?
Yeah, looking at the world system, building a strong party, carrying out the interest of different interests, their interest in the party, like I did say the other time, and also to have a party that will be focused, that will be ideological, and that will be result-oriented. Not only in the area of reward system to the members of the party, that can take the mandates of the people and execute those mandates in a rewarding manner for socio-economic growth of the state.
So what reconciliation do you see taking place? I'm going to ask you now honestly, do you see all of those people, like the Najim Salams, the Adebi, Adelowo, do you see them coming back to the fold, to the table?
I can assure you that with the credibility of the committee members, they will be glad to return to the party if they are not in the party. These are people that we can tell our individual stories, and they will find their own people constitute the membership of the party. Anybody in the party in the States now who will not repose his confidence in the personalities like Rasak Adeosun, Togun, Omotuntun, Isaac Adewole, Ipola Binuyo, former chief whip of the house, Falade from Elisha, and all those people. All these people are products of the same political orientation. Some were dissuaded by the unfancied pecuniary benefits that they seek to have from rancorous tendencies that could come into the party. But I think everybody now is, like people will say, everybody are eating breakfast. So I think we will be better.
So how much of damage has that breakfast done to your party? In terms of perception, in terms of voice notes flying here and there, some persons even mentioning names of leaders of the party, some whom you would want to say are stalwarts of the party and should have confidence, some of their names being bandied around as people who cost the party the election because of some things. How much of a damage has the breakfast done to your party?
Even those allegations are so weak in nature than what we knew happens to the party. You understand? If you brand yourself around as intellectuals, as populists, as Aoists, and you deny people their rights when you're in government, have you not demarketed the party enough? Let me give you an instance. I'm not praising this government. I'm not, because there are a lot of ineptitudes. But myself and somebody in the studio now behind the camera, we work together as civil servants. And if you imagine a civil servant being paid his salary, but about 40,000 naira being deducted for what he didn't bargain for, and you say you are claiming you have led the state right, have you? When this government paid 2 months arrears, and I had about 80,000 in my account, I could imagine then what 80,000 could afford me to get. Civil servants were not brought together to find out from them whether they want the realization of McGann Road, whether they wanted the realization of the wanted ring road at the expense of their salary. It was a governor who oversubscribed to loans, and the government became insolvent, and people were punished, they were denied. Are you saying what Aregbesola did in the States was good enough to build the party? He killed the party.
But he was a member of the party.
Also, Oyetola was...
the members of the party spoke against it at the time.
Excuse me. Are you saying that party will not struggle if it were not in a place, the state where they were called progressives, where they were hopeful that something better will come from another person? You did not see it, so you can't feel it. What was all those things that were flying about were just distraction from the main evil done to the party by the Aregbesola government. I knew my colleagues who were eating green purple when there was nothing in their pocket because of our salary. Will you pray that government will come back? Oyetola that did for 4 years pay full salary, rescued the party.
But he never went back to pay the out salary.
Because there was no money. There was a lot of debt. This day, Business Day newspaper, in its front page in 2019, described the government of the state as insolvent, servicing debt with 92 naira out of every 100 naira. And this man was still paying full salary. If you were to pay the salary in the past, you will pay half in the past and half in the present. It's the same half salary. But from brilliant economic management, even if we are owing them, let us pay them their due now, so that when we stabilize, we'll start to pay. It is not that he didn't pay out of the old salaries, he paid some. People retired in 2017 were not owed, because in the course of time, he paid those that were already retired for him to come to people, to the Stylites. So you wanted to say Oyetola was
yes, you know, was not part of the government.
Don't worry, I'll think for you. The chief of staff to any governor is the chief personal assistant to the governor. What can you say? What can you say as my personal assistant?
We are not talking about talking at the time, but we're talking about dissociating yourself from.
We are not dissociating ourselves. That's why he was paying full salary. That was why he paid 97 billion naira out of the debt of the state. That was why he paid for 3 billion naira for pensioners in 4 years. It was not, if he were to dissociate, he would not be paying those debts. So people who say he's trying to distance himself, not at all. They are not reasonable. But I want people to know who a chief of staff is. He's the chief personal assistant to the governor. He does not have to sign a paper before governor takes decision. His opinion could count and might not count, because it was not voted for.
And did he give an opinion?
He gave an opinion. It was his opinion that did not allow the government then to sack workers, and that of Baba Sumonu, Hassan Sumonu, the veteran labor leader. The government was at a point of laying off a lot of civil servants because of the debt the government is owing. Because the government cannot afford to pay full salary then. They were to retrench. It was their intervention. Okay, let us owe them this percentage, and we pay them when the economy gets better. So what he did was more of heroic than being a villain.
But are you saying that under the Aregbesola administration, the economy actually got better, but he refused to go back to, to revisit the
economy did not
payment?
go better before the government oversubscribed to debt. All this money will be deducted as source. They are bonds guaranteed already. And there was a particular time, even in the days of Oyetola, that after the deduction from the federal allocation, the government had to pay 35 million naira back to Abuja. It was as bad as that.
All right, so this alleged sabbatical that Aregbesola seems to be on.
That's my perception. That's my perception.
I know. Was he forced into it, or, it's a place where you have seen him over time?
I can't understand your question.
You said you don't think he's a member of your party. Did he?
For the reasons I ascribed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, do you think that activities within the party forced him into that position, or he decided on his own to go into that position?
There are certain things that when you do, one can become ashamed of himself. So let's leave it at that.
All right.
Okay, so Mr. Olawumi, we're beginning to...
Because let me tell you this. During the last election hearing at the debates organized by Channels TV, other candidates were asking about the helicopter. I'm also asking today, where is our helicopter?
I think we should ask the past administration.
Then let's all ask Governor Nurudeen Adeleke. The helicopter he has for them, he should tell us where he is. Now he's in the office. He might have seen the paper about the helicopter. So where is Osun helicopter? Bought by Aregbe or leased by Aregbe?
Okay, so Mr. Jamiu Olawumi, where is Osun?
So it's a question for them to answer.
Where is Osun's helicopter? You were a member of the past administration.
I was not in government.
And you're trying to say there is a paper.
You were a cabinet member.
Okay.
So you must have had access to some information.
Fortunately, some days ago, I asked my governor, where is Osun helicopter? He said he will also ask Nuruddin, where is Osun helicopter?
Okay, so part of what Tokpo was trying to ask was also that there was a time where some person said that the Oyetola administration was trying to cut Aregbesola down to size by revisiting his policies, and that made some of his loyalists, led them to form TOP. You were at the forefront of the educational reforms alongside the Commissioner for Lorenshaw. Do you think that some of these things he may have seen it as no longer being relevant in the party and then decided to vote?
Perhaps because of that, it's on a sabbatical. Because I cannot fathom a positive opinion now about the entire studentship wearing the same uniform in the state. It led to cultism, brigandage, riots, and those things, and insecurity in our schools. But as different schools now have their uniform, when last did you report that there was a fight among secondary schools? So Oyetola brought peace to Osun State.
But the point
which was rancorous when Aregbesola was leaving.
So I remember speaking to you.
Which was chaotic.
Okay, I remember speaking to you on this issue some time ago, and you said that the Oyetola administration did not want to embarrass. That was the word you used. Did not want to embarrass the Aregbesola administration. That was why some of the things were just done surreptitiously and not overtly made known, to the public. But do you think that Governor Oyetola could have spoken up about some of the things? Some of your party members have said that he may have rescued himself in his second term bid if he had explained that some of the things he met on ground were that dire as revealed by the current administration.
It does not matter. Let's keep those things in abeyance. Yeah. Whether he has done it in a manner to cheat his predecessor in office, who was his boss. Let me tell you, we had 3 reports. One from Kwara State University at Malete there, on their works, on a dissertation for PhD, using Okmoimo of Osun as a case study. The damning report was the tablet contains over 1,000 errors. What Oyetola did with wisdom was to wrest that product, when we also confirmed there were errors. It is better not to have a teacher than to have a bad teacher. A bad teacher kills faster than diseases, than epidemics. So if you don't have teacher, you start to look for a good teacher, not to continue with bad teacher that you have. And the committee that looked into the education reforms did not rest upon me finally. He said we can put into another use. That use should have come in the second term of Oyetola if he had won the election at a go. Let me also let you know this. The Okmoimo then had no teacher copy. No teacher was given a copy of the tablet. It was given to the student. Even the teacher that would take the student through were not taken through. It was a populist program that was to earn electoral gain and social popularity. But the education of our students is much bigger than that. So let me tell you this for free. If it were another person succeeding Aregbesola from another party and has knowledge of what Oyetola knows about the government, most of those in that government will be at Ayesho in Lisa. It's as simple as that. Don't forget that the chair on which they were sitting, we also sat, and we knew what we found there.
So let me just ask: is there a reason you didn't go to town or go to press with those things?
Yeah.
Don't you think it could have helped with public perception of your party?
It could have destroyed the party.
How so?
It could have destroyed the party.
But would you rather it destroyed, the society?
Let me tell you, it would have destroyed the party. If you go to the market that for 3 or 4 years, the students were fed with wrong knowledge through Okmoimo, and it is our party. We vote for that party.
But did the party
Again, we vote for that party again.
Did the party eventually not suffer the consequences of those actions?
There is no consequences. There's no consequences. The consequence of it is that we are where we are and we are solving our problems.
All right.
So as we begin to wrap up now, at what point did your party realize or discover that, look, we need to sit down and reposition ourselves?
It has always been an agitation. That is why the Agbeshala government, the governor himself inaugurated Igbimagba as a clearing house to settle matters, to clear agitations. So there's, in any group of people, agitations is a phenomenon. So you can't say we are just realizing it. We are all just taking the bull by the horn in an holistic manner. That's the difference.
So what will be the aim now of this committee? Trying to show public perception. You are doing most of your house cleaning now.
Yes.
Putting your house in order. But how do you also, change public perception of your party? Are you making any moves towards that?
Let me tell you, if like your look today, any young person watching the TV who wants to be like you, you can find people who want to be like you, appear on television, in the tube, well dressed, hosting people, and others. That's the consequences of your personality and the knowledge you have been made to have, to acquire. If the party members start to sing a good song about their party, it will attract other people into the party. But once you see agitation on their lips, you don't want to join that party. So the first branding is to brand your members through committee mechanism like this. By the time people see that there's going to be a robust reward system, all their grievances are addressed, they start to sing a good song again, and people will join the party. And the townspeople also admire the party. So that's the goals.
We hope that this rebranding will bring your party to, a positive light.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much for your time on the show this morning, Alhaji Jamiu Olawumi, former special advisor to former Governor Adegboyega Oyetola on education.
Former honorable special advisor. The honorable is quite important. All right, thank you for your time on the show this morning. Thank you very much.
That's all on the interview segment. I'll be back to tell you what's trending. Abike Dabirewa again in the news, but this time maybe something positive. And of course, Ike Ekweremadu's sentencing is in a couple of days. You get to know what Nigerians are saying about that on Twitter in a matter of minutes.
Thanks for joining us today on the Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. I'm Temitope Ajijola Oluwaola. Have a good day.
Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Funmilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Funmilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children